Welcome back, students. We'll be looking at section 3.5, practice problems for point-slope form of a linear equation. They wanted to write an equation of the line passing through the given point and slope. So remember, we're going to use y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. We're going to fill those in. So this is my x, this is my y. So I have y minus my y value that I have, which is the 9, equals my slope, which is the 6, times x minus the x value that I have, which is the 2. Now I just need to simplify down. Y minus 9 equals 6 times x, which is 6x. 6 times minus 2 is going to give us minus 12. I need to add 9 to both sides. And that gives me y plus 0 equals 6x minus 3. So our equation is y equals 6x minus 3. Number 2, we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to label my numbers here. So x and y. I have y minus my y value. I'm going to use a bracket because this is a negative number. And I need to put it in like this. And then I have equals my slope, negative 3, times x minus my x value, which is 1. I'm going to go ahead and do the keep it, change, change on my y minus negative 7. That becomes y plus 7. Go ahead and distribute my negative 3. I get negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is going to be a positive 3. Now I need to move my 7. So I end up with y plus 0 equals negative 3x minus 4. And my answer is y equals negative 3x minus 4. So not so bad so far. Number 3, I have x here and y here, and then I have my slope. So let's fill in our pieces. We have y minus our y value, which is I actually blocked it. I can't even read it. So that's a negative 3 equals our slope, negative 4/5, times x minus our x value, which is a 6. Go ahead and do keep it, change, change here. So that becomes y plus 3 equals negative 4/5 times x is a negative 4/5 x. Negative 4 times negative 6 becomes a positive 24, and keep our 5. So now I need to subtract 3 from both sides. I get y plus 0 equals negative 4/5 x plus 24/5 minus 3. I need to get a common denominator so that I can actually combine the 24/5 minus 3. I'm going to add a 1 up under the 3 to make it a fraction. And then I'm going to multiply it by 5 over 5 because we want the common denominator of 5. I end up with y equals negative 4/5 x plus 24 over 5 minus 3 times 5 is 15. And then 1 times 5 is 5. We now have common denominators, so we can actually subtract them. We end up with y equals negative 4/5 x. 24 minus 15 is 9, and it's going to be positive. So let's see, plus 9/5. And that is our actual equation of a line. Number 4. We have our x and our y value and our slope. So let's see here. Y minus a negative 3 equals negative 7/2 times x minus our x value, which is 6. Do keep it, change, change. So y plus 3 equals negative 7 halves x. Negative 7 times negative 6 gives us a positive 42 over 2. I'm going to simplify that fraction at the end before I move my 3. So I'm going to rewrite this. Y plus 3 equals negative 7 halves x plus, that's going to become a 21. 42 divided by 2 is 21. Now I can subtract my 3. And I end up with y plus 0 equals negative 7 halves x plus 18. So my equation of a line is y equals negative 7 halves x plus 18. All right, now let's look at writing an equation of the line passing through the given points. Give the final answer in slope-intercept form and then in standard form. So remember, we're going to use, let me change colors here. We're going to use m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. That's our first step. And then we have to change it from y equals mx plus b into ax plus by equals c. Okay. We're also going to be using in step 2 the y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1 here. So now that we have all our formulas written out, all our forms written out, let's go ahead and start number 5. I want to first label x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, so m equals my second y, 12, minus my first y, 10, over my second x is 6, minus my first x, which is 4. 12 minus 10 is 2. 6 minus 4 is 2. And that reduces to 1 because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So my slope is 1. Now I need to pick one of our coordinates to use to find the slope of to find our line. I'm going to pick the first one. Remember, we learned in the notes that it doesn't matter which one you pick. You can pick either one. You'll end up with the same answer. But I'm going to pick the first one. So I have y minus, you know what, I'm going to change color. So I have y minus, my y is 10. My slope that I found is 1. And then x minus my x value is 4. So I have y minus 10 equals, 1 times x is just x. 1 times negative 4 is just minus 4. So now I need to add 10 to both sides. And I end up with y plus 0 equals x plus 6. So y equals x plus 6 is our equation of a line in slope-intercept form. Now we need to transition that slope-intercept form into standard form. So I'm going to rewrite it over here. The way we're going to do that is we need to get both our x's and our y's on the same side. This one's going to be fairly simple. We just have to subtract x from both sides. I get negative x plus y equals 0 plus 6. So our answer is negative x plus y equals 6. Let's look at another example, number 6. Again, the first thing we're going to do is find our slope by using both coordinates. We'll go ahead and label them. All right, so we have m equals, our second y is negative 2 minus our first y, which is negative 7, over our second x, negative 8, minus our first x, which is negative 1. I'm going to do keep it, change. So that becomes negative 2 plus 7 over negative 8 plus 1. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5. Negative 8 plus 1 is 7. So our slope is 5/7. Oh, you know what? I just noticed we have a negative 8 there, which means when we took the difference there, we had a negative number. So make sure we correct that. So it's actually going to be a negative 5/7 for our fraction, because our 7 would have been negative. All right, so that's our slope. Now let's look at step 2. We're going to use the point slope form in one of our coordinates. I'm going to use the first coordinate again. They both have 2 negative numbers, so I don't know that either one is any easier than the other. The first one does have a 1 in it, so maybe that'll make it simpler. I have y minus negative 7 equals our slope, negative 5/7 times x minus a negative 1. Do keep it change. So I end up with y plus 7 equals negative 5/7 times x plus 1. I'm going to distribute, so I end up with y plus 7 equals negative 5/7 x minus 5/7. Now I'm going to subtract my 7 from both sides. I get y plus 0 equals negative 5/7 x minus 5/7 minus 7. I need to change my 7 to have a common denominator. So I'm going to put it over 1 and multiply it by 7/7 so that it'll have a matching denominator. That gives me y equals negative 5/7 x minus 5/7. 7 times 7 is 49, so I have minus 49/7. Now I could actually combine those. I end up with y equals negative 5/7 x, negative 5, let's see, so 5 and 49, that's going to be 54. So negative 54/7. That is our equation of a line. Now we're going to change it to standard form. So let me rewrite it here. So y equals negative 5/7 x minus 54/7. All right, the first thing we're going to do is multiply everything by 7 so that we can get rid of those fractions. So rewrite this part out. All right, so we end up with 7y equals 7 times negative 5 is negative 35/7x. 7 times negative 54, let's see here. 54 times 7, that's me, 28, put it with 2, 37. So 378/7. Simplify those, we end up with 7y equals negative 5x minus 54. All right, I'm now going to add the 5x to both sides. I end up with 5x plus 7y equals 0 minus 54. So my answer is 5x plus 7y equals negative 54. And that's our answer for that one. Now we're going to look at how to write an equation of a parallel line from the given information. Give the final answer in slope-intercept form and then in standard form. So we're going to go through the same process, but we're actually going to find a second line. So the first thing I notice is that in number 7, they actually give us the slope to start with. So we don't actually have to find it in this particular problem. So that was awfully nice of them. Our slope is 3/4. And we know that parallel slopes are the same. So slope is 3/4. Our parallel slope will also be 3/4. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. We're also going to use the point that they gave us to find this second line. So I have y minus that -1 equals 3/4 times x minus 8. This becomes y plus 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and distribute out the 3/4. I have 3/4 x, and that becomes minus 24/4. I can reduce that, which will make it easier when we have to move this 1. So let's go ahead and do that. So 3/4 x. That 24/4 becomes a minus 6. Now I can subtract the 1 from both sides. And I get y plus 0 equals 3/4 x minus 7. So our line is y equals 3/4 x minus 7. This is our second line that is parallel to the original first line. Step 3, we're going to take that and change it into standard form. So y equals 3/4 x minus 7. I need to multiply everything by 4 so that we can cancel out the fraction. So that becomes 4y equals 12/4x minus 28. 4y equals, that 12/4 becomes a 3. So we have now gotten rid of the fraction. Subtract 3x from both sides. And I get negative 3x plus 4y equals 0 minus 28. So our answer is negative 3x plus 4y equals negative 28. Number 8. Passing through the point 2, 3 and parallel to the equation of the line 4x minus y equals negative 2. So this time they didn't give us our slope. We've got to actually change the original first equation into slope-intercept form so we can see what our slope is. So let's do that. We have 4x minus y equals negative 2. I'm going to subtract the 4x, because remember the goal is always to get the y by itself for graphing. So that's 0 minus y equals negative 4x minus 2. So it's negative y equals negative 4x minus 2. Can't leave my y negative, so I need to divide everything by a negative 1. And I end up with y equals 4x plus 2. So based off of this, my slope is 4. Since we're looking for a parallel line, I'm going to use 4 for my parallel slope. It would help if I spelled my word correctly, wouldn't it, guys? All right, so parallel slope is 4. So that's what we're going to use. Now we're going to use that in the point they gave us to find our second line, our parallel line. So I have y minus my y value, which is 3, equals our slope, which is 4, times x minus our x value, which was 2. Y minus 3 equals 4x minus 8. Now I'm going to add the 3 to both sides. And I end up with y plus 0 equals 4x minus 5. So y equals 4x minus 5. This is our second line. I'm going to take that and now turn it into standard form. This one's going to be easier because we don't have any fractions to deal with. All we've got to do on this one is move our x. So we're going to subtract 4x. We end up with negative 4x plus y equals 0 minus 5. So we have negative 4x plus y equals negative 5. And we are done. All right, let's look at writing an equation of a perpendicular line. So remember, parallel, we have the same slopes. perpendicular, we have opposite sign, reciprocal. So when we have our slope, we need to make sure we transform it before we use it. In number 9, they were nice and gave us our slope of 2/3. Okay, so the slope is 2/3. But our perpendicular slope, we need to do the reciprocal, which is 3/2, and opposite sign. So it's going to be negative. This is the slope we will use. So y minus 1 equals negative 3/2 times x minus a negative 2. I'm going to go ahead and do keep it change over there. So we have y minus 1 equals negative 3/2 times x plus 2. Go ahead and distribute. So y minus 1 equals negative 3/2 x. Negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6. So I have a minus 6/2. That will reduce to minus 3. Now I will add my 1 to both sides. And I get y plus 0 equals negative 3/2 x minus 2. So y equals negative 3/2 x minus 2. This is our second line that is perpendicular to the first line. Step 3 is to take that and change it into standard form. All right, I have a fraction, so I need to multiply everything by that 2 to get rid of it. So I end up with 2y equals negative 6/2 x minus 4. I can reduce that fraction. 2y equals negative 3x minus 4. Now I'm going to add the 3x to both sides. End up with 3x plus 2y equals 0 minus 4. So my answer is 3x plus 2y equals negative 4. All right, number 10. Passing through point negative 1, 4, perpendicular to the original line of 2x plus 3y equals 8. So this time they don't give us our slope. We have to transform our standard form equation into y-intercept slope form. Struggled to get that one out there. Okay, so let's see here. We have 2x plus 3y equals 8. I'm going to subtract the 2x. I get 0 plus 3y equals negative 2x plus 8. Now I'm going to divide everything by the 3. And I end up with y equals negative 2/3 x plus 8/3. Our slope is the negative 2/3. But we need a perpendicular slope for the next part. So our perpendicular slope, we have to flip it, so 3/2, and we have to do the opposite sign. Our original slope is a negative, so this one's going to be a positive. This is the one we're going to use. So y minus 4 equals 3/2 times x minus a negative 1. So I end up with y minus 4 equals 3/2 times x plus 1. Y minus 4 equals 3/2 x plus 3/2, because 3/2 times 1 is 3/2. Now I'm going to add a 4 to both sides. I get y plus 0 equals 3/2 x plus 3/2 plus 4. I need to adjust the 4 so that I can actually add it to the 3/2. So I'm going to put it over a 1, and I'm going to multiply it by 2 over 2. So we can get a 2 as our denominator. So I end up with y equals 3/2 x plus 3/2. 4 times 2 is 8. So we get 8/2. Now I can actually add them. Y equals 3/2 x plus 11/2. This is our actual equation. Come over here to step 3 so we can change it into standard form. So y equals 3/2 x plus 11/2. I'm going to multiply everything by 2 so we can get rid of the fraction. So I end up with 2y equals 6/2x plus 22/2. That simplifies to 2y equals 3x plus 11. Now I'm going to move my 3x by subtracting it from both sides. I end up with negative 3x plus 2y equals 0 plus 11. And that becomes negative 3x plus 2y equals 11. And we are done with that one. Let's read our Bible verse. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Ecclesiastes 3:11. All right, guys, I hope you're having a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.